This is the first part in a series of conversations that I had with my grandpa Ed Kolar about a year or so before he passed away. In this particular section, we're talking about his military career, starting with why he decided to join the Air Force, and then touching on his work during the Cuban Missile Crisis, as well as his time stationed in Saigon during the Vietnam War. It's worth noting that the stories you're hearing actually spanned several months' worth of conversations. They weren't told to me in the order that you're going to hear them. But as I was going through our conversations, I found a lot of different stories of his time in the military, and so I took them all and edited them together in a way that I think flows pretty well, and I think maybe gives a good snapshot of his military career. But if it feels at all like the stories are jumping around a little bit, that's why. Anyway, I started by asking him why he decided to specifically join the Air Force.
When it came time to pull military duty, I could have been drafted and done 2 years in the Army. I was engaged to Marcia by then. It probably wouldn't have survived 2 years if I'd gone in the Army. But anyway, and I think, well, I can go as an enlisted man for 2 years, or I can go in as an officer for 4 years and have a life. Well, Marv Olson, who was Marcia's older brother, was a taught personnel school at Keesler Air Force Base in Mississippi when he was his ROTC time. Okay, he says, don't choose intelligence. There's 15 people who apply for intelligence for everyone that's selected. I applied for education and training, and I applied for history, and like three or four things. They come back and say, how would you like to be in intelligence?
Nice.
As an intelligence officer, part of what they do is you do some photo interpretation.
Oh, really? Okay.
So you take stereo pairs with your little magnifiers. And it's really cool to see once you see that.
What would you be looking for? Like what kind of, what's the goal of that?
Either buildings. Okay, and what's going on at the buildings to try to divine what is being manufactured or created in the buildings.
I see.
And then you take planes and what have you.
So what you're saying is the planes would take this footage and then bring it to you or whoever, and then it was your job. And it was their job to look through it. And,
you sit at a light table and either roll it through to see what's going on. If you got a whole reel of it. To pick up anything significant.
Interesting, okay.
See, what happens then is you look at the same area. If something changes, you want to know what the changes were and why.
Maybe a building is no longer there, or a new building has popped up, or something like
more
that.
Dramatic has come. Or they put a SAM site in there, surface to air missile site. The transporters have to have a certain pattern for those to be able to move stuff over to the launch pads. You can recognize a particular SAM site by its configuration. The Cuban Missile Crisis, that's the kind of stuff they did. Cuban Missile Crisis, what happens is, there was some intelligence that I was able to interpret, that they weren't saying this is going to be it. And I briefed the colonel on that. The readiness level was from 5 to 1. The world was at 5. SAC was always at 4. One step up. They'd take a crew, and their airplane was ready to fly and loaded with bombs. I briefed the initial 8 crews, and then they started bringing the other 8 crews in one by one. And so by midnight, I guess, or something, I had been briefed all 15 crews.
Oh, wow.
And I slept on the colonel's couch.
Well, just really quick question. So you said if it goes from 5 to 1, is 1 like...
Launch.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, you turn up and then went back and finished briefing or not. But when it's all over and done with, you realize, okay, my job is done. Because if they launch, 15 minutes later, my ass will be powder over the missile on the northern tier base. Strategic missiles, okay? You do that. So anyway, but that's just a fact of life. That's what we do. So a lot of that, I go in and give a briefing, current intelligence briefing, on what's going on in the world to crews when they're on board. I started off giving tanker crews briefings 7 days a week. So I'd call a cab, go over and pick the hot stuff off the wire, turn around, go over there and brief them on what it was. It didn't really matter, because tanker crews were never going to be over enemy territory. Their job was just to refuel the B-52s so the B-52s could get to where they had to go.
Obviously, I wasn't alive for the Cuban Missile Crisis. I've only ever heard stories of how the world felt about all that and how,
See, Bob wasn't born then.
Yeah, so I mean, it was so long ago.
1961, yeah.
Yeah, so he had a few years to go before he was around, but...
Oh, no, 62.
Okay. It's a couple years before my dad then, but I know that the general population was pretty scared, so I can imagine it was probably very bizarre for the military, like you said, knowing that, well, if it happens, we've got this many minutes and that's it, so.
We got a job to do. We were trained to do a job, their whole reason for existence. So it wasn't like, oh my God.
Right, you don't have time to sit around and shaking your boots about it. You were probably more alert and at ease at the same, or well, not at ease, but than the general population at least. Even though you're more directly in contact with it, you understand more about it than the average household does.
Yeah.
This next part is missing a little bit of the audio, but we were talking about the various types of training he went through and what that felt like to him. And he mentions having to stay in a small box. This was a small concrete cell that you had to stay in for a very extended period of time with no food, and you weren't even allowed to sit. And the reason they had you do this is so that you could understand a little bit better what POWs might be going through psychologically, since part of his job was to debrief them once they were released.
I've been in a small box. Yeah.
Wow.
All other things, I crawled under barbed wire in the mud.
The small box part of the training as well then? Oh, wow.
Prisoner of war training.
Wow.
We went through it because we debriefed returned U.S. POWs.
Right.
We went through the orientation program, part of this, for what they had gone through.
So you could have a better understanding of maybe of what it was like for them. Yeah.
The one thing you had going for you is you do with a training exercise, they could subject you to shit for only so long.
Right. You knew ultimately you were going to be okay. How long would you be in the box for?
I was without, well, I don't know, I don't remember that part of it.
Sure.
But I was without sleep for 50 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So part of it is standing in a small cell. You can't sit or do much of anything else.
Once his training was complete, Grandpa was assigned a station in Saigon, which was the capital of, at the time, South Vietnam. This was in roughly 1962 to about 1964, so not quite the height of the Vietnam War or the U.S.'s involvement in it, but approaching there. Within a few years, things would be radically different. Still, there were many coup attempts and Buddhist monk demonstrations that were famous worldwide and that Grandpa witnessed firsthand. We talked a little bit about where he lived and what it was like living there.
And I looked at Google Earth for it, and I could show you the building I lived in Saigon.
No kidding.
Yeah, and now they've updated Google Earth. I don't see the building anymore.
Oh, no kidding.
I think it was an old, building.
Yeah.
So they may have just cut it down.
Yeah, I could have.
I lived 1 block from the center of Saigon. So you walked 1 block, and they had a traffic circle there of sorts.
Yeah.
They had Nguyen Way, the Street of Flowers, which they had all kinds of merchants down the middle of it. Remember the fish trap tables we had?
Yeah.
I bought those there for $1 a piece. Well, we were on the top corner apartment in this building.
Okay.
The corner of Le Loi and Pasteur. Pasteur was like the side street. So we could see the 10,000 Buddhists marching the street from our windows. And in January, after I got there, we looked down at the base right in the corner, and there's a pillbox.
Oh, really?
Sandbag, machine gun pillbox for one of the coups, the end of January.
Most of the work Grandpa did took place at the U.S. Embassy, which was just a short walk away from his apartment at Le Loi and Pasteur. Thankfully, Grandpa was no longer stationed in Saigon by the time tensions had escalated in that area. Ultimately, that resulted in a car bombing at that U.S. Embassy, which forced them to relocate it due to security concerns, and then that new location was attacked by the North Vietnamese in 1968. Thankfully, Grandpa narrowly missed all of that. But even though his time there predated those events, this was still the Vietnam War, and he was trained to keep an eye out for any signs of danger.
So the white mice were the civilian traffic cops. They were all in white.
Yeah, okay.
And you knew that if the white mice disappeared, there was something going to happen. So we had 10-foot walls, around the compound. It was right on the waterfront of the river.
Yeah.
The street running by. And then it was a CIA-based interrogation center. And here's this dumbass reporter trying to climb over this wall.
Oh my God.
And I'm telling him no.
Yeah.
No.
Was that an American reporter or?
American reporter.
Yeah, okay.
And it may have been Peter Arnett, I'm not sure. And finally, the boss, the American boss, who looked like he came out of World War II. So this guy's busy talking to this guy, trying to tell him, don't do this. You know, if you value your life, do not do this. And they eventually brought the Quan Khan in. They were like the MPs, and they wore hard helmets, etc. They looked sharp, and they were better trained, etc. So he didn't come in.
While thankfully Grandpa did miss those attacks on Saigon that happened just a couple years later, he was still the victim of an attack, and this took place in February of 1964 at the Capitol Kin Do Theater, when the theater was bombed by the North Vietnamese. Now, we didn't go over a whole lot of the details in this recording, but I was able to find a lot of that information online to sort of fill in the gaps. So, in quick summary, on February 16th, 1964, at the Capitol Kin Do Theater in Saigon, there was a showing of the movie The List of Adrian Messenger, starring George C. Scott. Grandpa was in attendance at this showing, as well as many other U.S. soldiers and executives. This made it a prime target for the North Vietnamese to attack as part of their terrorism campaign. Shortly after the film began, they killed the 2 guards out front and threw a bomb into the theater. Grandpa suffered hearing loss, but otherwise was physically okay. The same could not be said about a few of the other people in attendance. Anyway, hopefully that adds a little bit of context, and here he is talking about it from his perspective.
I was in the Capitol Kin Do when they blew it up. So they killed the Marine Guard. They dropped 10 kilos of plastic explosive in the lobby. 22 pounds of plastic explosive. Blew the shit out of the movie theater. And I can still tell you exactly where the movie was when the captain rolled in and said, get down, they're coming. And he was in the aisle and got killed in the blast.
Yeah.
One other person was killed.
Yeah.
And 51 were injured. Close as anybody else. But I had a marble staircase behind me to the balcony. So it was...
So you were okay.
Well insulated as
no kidding.
I'm sitting right in the middle of the back row because that's where I like to be because I figure that way you're seeing the best layout for the screen. So I chose that.
Yeah. The
guy next to me there says, what is this? And he showed me he's got some plastic in his ankle.
Oh, no kidding.
Some plaster. It's sticking out of his ankle. So he goes.
And this is days later, he said?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He realizes it a day or so later, and he goes over and he gets a Purple Heart. I couldn't hear what shit.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't get it because the skin wasn't broken.
Oh, boy.
Didn't puncture the eardrum.
Jeez. Did you have any PTSD from that at all?
Not recognizably. So.
No, nothing.
Well, see, my reaction was okay. Fingers.
Yeah.
Feet.
Yeah.
I can run. Okay, get the hell out of here.
Get out of there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there may have been people in combat where it's constant are dealing with it.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And for me, it was like later on when I was in a Vietnamese compound, there was an explosion.
Yeah.
And the story they gave us was somebody captured explosives and brought a double base explosive and put it in the same truck and brought it back. And only later I said, how stupid. I bought it.
After, the explosion happened and you realized you're okay and you ran.
Get the hell out of there.
Once everyone got the hell out of there, was there combat after that? Or was it just, did the enemy just explode?
It was a terrorist attack.
Right.
Run in, drop your bomb, and run the hell out.
That's all they did. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they rebuilt the theater.
Yeah.
And then they realized they could not protect it and abandoned it. So I would, if I wanted to see a movie, I'd go to the USO in downtown Saigon, and it was sandbagged 8 feet high.
Yeah.
So it was a zigzag through the door, through sandbags.
Unfortunately, this is about it for the discussions I have regarding his time in the military. There may be other recordings I haven't found yet and still need to look through. I do know that he was stationed in Laos and Thailand. I just don't remember if we really talked about that much, but if I do find out any more information or any other recordings where we talk about that, I'll be sure to upload those as well. As for the next part in this series, there's a decent amount of conversation about his love of photography and painting, as well as his love of music. So I'll likely be focusing on that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed listening to Grandpa talk about his military career. He was really proud of his time in the Air Force, and for good reason.